Welcome friends, welcome to my YouTube channel. In the previous video lectures, we are studying about the various irrigation engineering concepts like duty and delta, relationship between duty and delta, factor affecting duty and delta, and that different terminology used in irrigation engineering. Now, in that our fourth lecture, we are studying about the various irrigation efficiency and the irrigation water measurement systems and the examples on the water use by the plants, and there are different quantities when we are growing the crop into the particular field. We are also discussing about the methods of irrigation and their application in that particular areas and for that particular crop. Now we are moving to the irrigation efficiencies. At the end of whole phenomena, we have to calculate the efficiency. If we are calculating the efficiency of power, any other energy sources as respect to that input and output of income flow and case output flow. In the case of irrigation, the input is water and output of water is generally in terms of many benefits like economical growth of country, farmer wealth, and their production ratio with respect to application of irrigation. Now, generally, irrigation efficiency is a ratio of water output to the water input, and it is usually expressed as a percentage. So, because we are knowing that the water is a very wealthful thing on the earth. So, if you not calculate that efficiency, you would not express how much amount of impact of the irrigation has been created by supplying artificially and how much cost we can bear for supplying of irrigation of water. Input minus output is generally nothing but losses. We are knowing that if the input is larger and output is smaller, so we are facing the loss. And if the losses are more, then output is less. That phenomena is vice versa to each other. If the efficiency is less, so our input is more. Generally, for calculation of irrigation efficiencies, water loss is also calculated for conveyance, supplying, and applications. Now, in the first efficiency is that water efficiency of water conveyance. It is called NC. The ratio of amount of water applied to the land to the amount of water supplied from the reservoir. It is called efficiency of water conveyance. All water which can be diverted into the canal are not reached at that our destination point, because due to some of that condition there may be loss during the conveyance. Generally, it is represented by NC is equal to W1 WL upon WR. WL is equal to amount of water applied upon water supplied from the reservoir. It is a ratio between amount of water applied upon water supplied from the reservoir. Next is the water application efficiency. It is the ratio of water stored in the root zone of plant to the water applied to the land. All water we can apply on the land are not useful for our plant, because plant can only extract the water that can be held by the soil or which can be available in the root zone. The downstream water or the gravitational water are not used by our plant growth. It is generally denoted by the Na is equal to Wz upon Wl. Wz is equal to amount of water stored in root zone upon amount of water applied to the land. Next is the water use efficiency. It is the ratio of amount of water used to the amount of water applied. How much we have applied and how much water is used. That are the showing the water use efficiency. Nu is equal to Wu upon Wl multiplied by 100. W is equal to water used and Wl is equal to water applied. Next is the consumptive use efficiency. It is the ratio of consumptive use of water to the amount of water depleted from the root zone. We are knowing that how much we can calculate the consumptive use of water. So Cu upon Wp multiplied by 100. Cu is equal to consumptive use of water and amount of water depleted from root zone. Generally, this table shows that some of the chemical parameters that should be adoptable when we are using the irrigation water. For long term and short term, both the uses are given in the table. Some of the chemical constituent also carried by the water with them, and we have to calculate that amount of particular chemical content that should be present in water, and we have to certify that, and we have to ensure that that content should not excess that particular limited value. Now, there have been two methods of measurement of irrigation of water. One of the direct method. Generally, in the direct method is known as volume based method. Direct method is generally based on this volume based method. For the flow rate method, this method is also called as flow rate method. If you want to measure the amount of water in that particular flow basis, so we have to calculate the volume per time of flow. Second is the weirs. Weirs are useful component where we can measure our irrigation water. Weir are the regular notches over which water flows. They are used to regulate flood through rivers, overflow dams and open channel. Weir can be sharp or broad crested, made from concrete, timber, metal or any other construction material. Sharp crested, rectangular and triangular section are commonly used on the farm. The discharge through weir is equal to Q is equal to CLH raised to M, and C is equal to coefficient dependent on the nature of weir crest and approach condition. L is the length of crest and H is the head on the crest and M is the exponent depending on weir opening. So the value of M is depend on that particular value of weir opening. Weir should be calibrated to determine some of that parameter before use. That is the calibration parameter. So Q is equal to 0.0186 LH raised to 1.5. That are the weir calibration parameters. Second thing is the orifice. Orifice is an opening on the wall of tank containing the water. Orifice generally may be circular, rectangular, triangular or any other shape. In the discharge through the orifice, we have calculated Ca 2GH. Ca under root 2GH, where Q is the discharge rate and C is the coefficient of discharge and A is the area of orifice. G is the acceleration due to gravity and H is the head of water over orifice. Next is the flumes. Hydraulic flumes are the artificial open channel or the section of natural channel. There have been two major types, hydraulic flumes or partial or trapezoidal ones. Flumes needs to be calibrated after construction before. For stream use gauging, a current meter is used to measure the velocity at 0.2 and 0.8 meter depth or at only 0.6 meter depth. It measures the area. First we have to measure the areas of section using trapezoidal areas. Q is equal to AI into VI. Using floats. Floating object is put into water and observe time it takes the float croak to go from the marked area to another. Assuming float level travels d meter in t seconds, so we can calculate the velocity of that float, and the average velocity is equal to 0.8 d by t, and q is equal to cross sectional area multiplied by velocity. Now we are seeing the one of the example on that root zone and the calculation of field capacity of water and how much amount of water present at wilting point. As per your data, the root zone of a crop in a certain soil has a field capacity 40%. The field capacity is 40%. So they can hold maximum moisture at 40% and permanent wilting point of 12%. We have to determine the depth of moisture in root zone per meter at the field capacity and the permanent wilting point. The available depth of water if the root zone depth is 1 meter. For that we have to take the dry density weight of soil as 16 kN per meter cube. First we have to find out the depth of water at field capacity. For that our unit weight of dry soil is 16 kN per meter cube. Now the unit of weight of water is 9.81 kilonewton per meter cube. Our field capacity is 40%. So depth of water is equal to unit weight of soil upon unit weight of water multiplied by the depth of root zone, or the we have to take depth is unit. So unit depth is 1 meter multiplied by field capacity. 16 upon 9.81 multiplied by 1.0 multiplied by 0.40. That are the formula for calculation of depth of water is equal to 0.65 meter per meter depth of soil. Water 0.65 meter per meter depth of soil. Depth of water at permanent wilting point. We have available at permanent wilting point is 12%. So the formula is same, but only the change is that we have to multiply with permanent wilting point moisture percentage. At that time we have multiplied with field capacity moisture percentage. 16 upon 9.81 multiplied by 1.0 into 0.112. So we can get some of the answer 0.196 meter per meter depth of soil. At a wilting point, available depth of water is 0.196 meter. At the wilting point, we are knowing that the plant cannot survive during the more daytime, during the daytime. Available depth of water D is equal to 1.20 meter. Available depth of water is 1.20 meter is given. So depth of water is equal to gamma D upon gamma W multiplied by D. D is equal to 1.20. If the available depth of water at D is equal to 1.0 multiplied by FC minus PWP. We have to calculate FC minus PWP, and by putting the data into that equation we can get 0.548 meter. For depth is 1.20 meter, then available depth of water is 0.548. Now we are moving to the irrigation methods. Generally there have been main three types of irrigation methods. First is the surface irrigation, subsurface irrigation and the sprinkler irrigation. In the subsurface irrigation there have been also three subtypes: flooding methods, furrow method and contour farming. Next is the for flooding methods there have been also two subtypes: wild flooding and the control flooding. And the control flooding there have been another six types: free flooding, contour lateral, broader strip, check basin, buzzing flooding and zigzag method. In that various method we have to choose the proper method of irrigation when we are adopting this phenomenon. Now The factors that are affect the choice of irrigation method are soil characteristic of land, topography of the area, the available water supply, types of crop and its water requirement, size of the stream which supplying the irrigation water, rate of the infiltration of the soil, and depth of the water table and depth of the root zone of the plant, amount of the water required for each irrigation, and possible erosion hazard of soil. We have to keep in mind that are the parameter when we are choosing any of the methods. Now, method of irrigation should also fulfill the some of that objectives. So, because our requirement is different and we are adopting the different method, we cannot get a proper result in our particular crop. The method of irrigation should be such that an adequate amount of water is stored in root zone. Our main aim is that we have to store the maximum amount of water into our root zone. The method should ensure uniform application of water. The method should not cause soil erosion problem. Method should be efficient with the minimum wastage of water. And the method should not be expensive. If the method is expensive, that is not a economical, we have to use for that particular crop. For the costly crop, that should preferable when we are adopting the costly irrigation methods. The method is should not inconvenient and difficult because in their main workforce are not literate as much that they can understand the different concepts of various method. Now we are moving to the surface irrigation methods. Surface irrigation is defined as a group of application techniques where the water is applied and distributed over the soil surface by the gravity. And this method is widely used in the world. There have been two types of method. We have previously discussed that wild flooding and controlled flooding. In that wild flooding method is the earliest and primitive method of application of water of land. In this method is water applied by spreading it over to the land prior to application of water. In that case, we are fully submerged our field into the water and after it soaked by the soil, then we are putting our seeds on them and we are doing the agriculture activity on them. There have been a major drawback of wild flooding is that there have been excess amount of water is used and waterlogging problem also may have to be faced. In the control flooding method, there have been another 4 to 5 types of methods like pre-flooding, control laterals, border strip, check basin flooding, and zigzag method. Now, in the basin irrigation, it is the most common form of surface irrigation, particularly in regions with layout of small fields. If the field level in all directions is encompassed by the dike to prevent runoff and provides an undirected flow of water onto the field, it is herein called basin. Basin is typically square in shape but exists in small sorts of irregular and rectangular configurations. Now, see in the picture is that one of that basin has been made and it is fully filled with water. Rice is one type of crop. It is a suitable crops for basin irrigation. Generally, if not suited crop which cannot stand in wet or waterlogged condition for period longer than 24 hours are the potatoes, beet, carrots and many other cash crops are not suitable for that type of irrigation. For the land slope of basin irrigation, we should have to require the flatter the land surface and easier to construct the basin. On flat land, only minor leveling may be required to obtain the level basin. Now, we are moving to the how much, what are the suitable soil type for the basin irrigation. Loamy soils are preferred for basin irrigation so that the water logging can be avoided. Coarse sand are not recommended for basin irrigation as due to high infiltration rate, percolation losses can be higher. In the basin irrigation, there have been also two subtypes of method. One is the direct method and second one is the cascade method. In the direct method, all ditch are connected with each and every basin, and each and every basin having a individual intake. Next method is the cascade method of water application, in which that every 2 to 3 basin having a single intake and they are passing through the 1 to 2 basin from the end point and they are connected with each other. Now we are moving to the border irrigation. This method we are also called as border strip method. In the our present term, we are said that method is called Yara method. Now, in the border irrigation can be viewed as an extension of basin irrigation to sloping, long rectangular or contoured field shape with free drainage condition at the lower end. It figure illustrates that the typical border configuration in which the field is divided into the different sloping borders and waters are intake from that one of the entry points and they are moving in the direction to the end point and last point the drain should be provided so the excess amount of water are escaped from that different types of border systems. Now see in the picture there have been a real irrigation system has been done. This is a one also one type of zigzag method photograph. In that zigzag type method there have been also this type of configuration has been put. Next is the furrow irrigation. In the furrow irrigation avoids the flooding the entire field surface by channelizing the flow along the preliminary direction of the field using furrows, creases or corrugations. Water infiltrates through the wetted perimeter and spread vertically and horizontally to refill the soil reservoir. Now see in the picture is that one furrow is constructed through the soil and another portion of the soil is has been irrigated by the one furrow for that infiltration process through that wetted perimeter surface. Furrow method is generally used for that row type of crop and long lifespan crop. That is the one of the raised bed and that are the furrow. And if we are filling that particular furrow with the water and the water are percolate through the sides of this furrow and that uh, crop are cultivated using the furrow. Now that are another example of furrow method. Next is the sprinkler irrigation. We are knowing that are the very efficient method of water application because there have been 30 to 40% saving in water application and their application efficiency is more with compared to any other methods. Sprinkler irrigation is a method of the applying irrigation water which is similar to natural rainfall. Water is distributed through the system of pipe usually by pumping and it is then sprayed into the air through sprinkler so that it breaks up into the small water drops which fall to the ground. Now see in the picture is that is the sprinkler irrigation system in which that the water is sprinkled over the our crop. Now there are the one another example of sprinkler irrigation. This method having used some limitations, and it is very useful during the some of the following situations, like the land cannot be prepared for surface method, then we are adopting the sprinkler method. Topography is irregular. If the topography is not proper, so we cannot use that previous method. We have to use a, our sprinkler irrigation. Slope are excessive. If the slope are excessive, the soil erosion problem may be persist. So we have to use the sprinkler irrigation, and that is the very convenient and effective method of cultivation. If the soil is excessively permeable or impermeable, so if the soil is excessively permeable, our water are flowing through the gravity action, and the water storage efficiency is very lower, so we can do our waste of water. So we have to use this method. Depth of soil is shallow or gravel or sand. If the gravel is available on the top surface of the soil, the water application methods are very difficult in that cases. So we have to adopt the sprinkler irrigation methods. Now, for the sprinkler irrigation method, we have to use some of the components like pumping unit, main delivery pipes, lateral pipes, sprinkler, and other accessories. There have been also some of the advantages of sprinkler irrigation. Uniform application of water is possible. The erosion of soil is avoided since there is no runoff. Land preparation is not required, so we have to minimize the labor cost. If the more land is available for cropping, as a border and ditches are not required. Small stream of irrigation water can be used efficiently. So there is no requirement of larger quantity of water. Time and amount of fertilizer can be controlled for application. Crop damage from frost can be reduced. The spray of water melts the ice forms on plant. It can be used for light application of water required in the young plants. In that system, the assessment of water can be done easily. If the domestic and irrigation water come from the same source, a common distribution line can be used, which will reduce the cost. There have been also some of the limitations of sprinkler irrigation system. Wind may distort sprinkler pattern. If the wind flow is higher, so the spreading will not become a uniform. So we have to some limitations when the winds are flowing at high speed. Water must be clean and free from sand, because if the sand and another debris are carried by the water, that are stuck on that our sprinkler, and they are not useful for application. A constant water supply is needed for most economical use of the equipment of the sprinkler irrigation system. If the constant supply of water is not available, then it is very difficult to maintain the time of running of sprinkler. The power requirement is high because there have been requirement of pumps and electric motors. Initial cost is high because there have been some of the main lines, sprinklers, and any other pumping equipment charges has been included in that sprinkler irrigation system. Now we are moving to the drip irrigation. It is also called a trickle irrigation. It is involved dipping of water onto the soil at very low rate, 2 to 20 liter per hour, from the system of small diameter plastic pipe fitted with the outlet called emitter or dripper. Water is applied close to the plant so that only part of the soil in which the root grows is wetted. Unlike surface and sprinkler irrigation, which involves wetting the whole soil profile, In that drip irrigation system, only the root zone of the plant and only the nearer surface are wetted. It is suitable for high value crop because that economical investment is higher. Now see the picture of drip irrigation system. There have been mulching, plastic mulch has been produced and there have been drip, dripper, drip emitter has been put here and that is the main subline. Now see in the actual figure, there have been the drip irrigation practices has been employed in that cotton farming. That is generally useful for row type of crop. It is not useful for only all crops that have been used. We are discussing previously the selection of method and natural condition. Now there have been some of the uh, advantages of drip irrigation. Like water requirement is less because only the trickle or every drop amount of water is placed at the root zone. So saving is 40 to 70% with compared to any other conventional method. Evaporation losses are low and the deep percolation losses are entirely eliminated because no gravity water has been flowed through the soil. Labor cost is less because we do not have to create any field channels. We do not have to create any furrow. Water logging is avoided. The drip irrigation is quite suitable for small trees and widely spaced plants. It is the most suitable for irrigation of fruit plants. Over irrigation is avoided. That are the some of the benefits are of drip irrigation system. Now there have been some of the disadvantages also having in the drip irrigation system like that. Initial cost is very higher. The nozzle holes are very small, so there will become a chance of clogging. If we have to change the crop, it may result the frequent replacement of trickle line. In this method is generally not suited for closely planted crops. It is only suited for raw planted crops. If the irrigation water is saline, dissolved salt is deposited near the edge of wetted zone. So periodical flushing is required for which water has to be applied by the surface irrigation. Thank you. I hope you are understanding the different irrigation methods and that different phenomena we are used for application of irrigation water. In that next video lectures, we are seeing some of the advancement in irrigation engineering and some of the videos for actual knowledge or practices in the field of irrigation engineering. Thank you.